much there, a couple of dirt roads coming in from each side. Various folks tried to make a go of things, but mostly it was the province of hunters and moonshiners who would watch the road from the ridgeline and signal to friends if it looked like the law was coming.
Hi, I'm Steve Long. I worked in the rental and repair shop from 1975 to 1978, but I still ski at Massanutten after 48 years. When I worked in the rental shop back in the mid-70s, we were told that the ski area was to sell property. So we were to make an exceptional ski experience for the people that came. Well, we were really busy, but property sales weren't very busy because we were just coming out of the recession caused by the energy crisis when we didn't have a lot of oil and gas available.
J.L. Hopkins' family had built the Rockingham Springs Hotel near where the Hopkins Park is today in the mid-1800s. And in 1968, he began thinking of bringing a resort back to the area. And some of the land inside what's now known as the Kettle was for sale. Hopkins put together a team, including local attorney Don Litton, local accountant James Keeler, and New York businessman Leland Leachman. For the next 3 years, they obtained rights-of-way, leases, and deeds. In all, they spent more than $1.5 million for a total of 5,400 acres. In early 1971, they approached Arizona real estate developer Del Webb to develop the resort. Local reaction was mixed. Environmentalists wanted to preserve the land. Others were concerned about traffic and the impact on schools. But ultimately, the project was approved later that year. Skiing and golf were always part of the vision. James Shiflett's father, Charles, and his uncles built the first trails.
We had some pretty rough work to do up here, but we got it done. And we had to deal with a lot of rocks and a lot of rattlesnakes.
The Shiflett family would go on to clear the Moonshine Green Golf Course. James himself built the second group of ski trails.
My dad worked for my second cousin that owned a construction company at that time. Once it was cleared and so forth, Dad bought the logs because he had a sawmill. And he sold my brother a house out of them and sold my sister a house out of them. And I still have the sawmill to this day. I've been running it since 1976.
Tony Waddell helped build the first lifts and snowmaking installations.
Hi, my name's Tony Waddell, and Yule Gardner came here in the spring of 1972. I came in midsummer 1972, and at that time was full-blown ready to, all of the lifts were not even here. At that time, we had to put the lifts in, had to put the snowmaking in, and do everything else.
And there were other challenges, particularly with the snowmaking.
I think the greatest challenges was they had there were two other individuals or ski areas that were getting lifts. And the biggest thing that we had was getting the parts, because we're squeezed in terms of time versus being able to stick these things in the ground. And we went through the process of putting all the lifts in the ground. We flew them in, installed all of it, and this was done in a pretty short period of time.
But John Swaim's questionable business dealings took an increasing toll on the resort. Its Chapter 11 bankruptcy reorganization never came to fruition, and in 1983, developers Dice Hammer and Jim Lambert formed Great Eastern Resort Corporation and bought Massanutten out of bankruptcy. But the land sales continued slowly, and the resort began selling timeshares. Although Massanutten was conceived as a resort and the resort amenities attracted a lot of the homeowners, many of the original homeowners were full-time residents.
The resort was sold then to 4 or 5 local business people, and they operated it for just a couple of years, and they sold it to a guy by the name of John Swaim. He had the resort, sold timeshare. We hit some bankruptcy problems in the early 80s, and then it was bought by Jim Lambert and Dice Hammer at a bankruptcy auction, and they've owned it ever since. A lot of people that lived here early on, were just local people that decided it would be a good place to raise their children. Some of them were instructors at James Madison University. Merck was a big chemical company down here in Elkton, and now right beside of it is Coors East Coast Brewery. So there was, just a lot of opportunity for those people to move up here and raise their families. All the memories I have on this mountain would take years to completely go through.
Fast forward 50 years, where Massanutten is now celebrating the first ever Massanutten Hall of Fame, honoring people who made this place special. As time moved on, Massanutten welcomed many families and first-time visitors to enjoy all 4 seasons throughout the years, as well as owners who made the mountain their home.
My name is Sarah Corman Boutwell. I currently live in Richmond, Virginia. So my connection to Massanutten starts with my great uncle, and that was Sam Ukrop. He's the one that taught me to ski. He coached me when I joined the ski racing team, and he started as a property owner here back in the early 1970s, right when Massanutten started. And he would see a unique story about my Uncle Sam is that driving on 33 going to either Bryce or the Homestead at the time, he would always look over and see the mountain that became Massanutten and would just say that would make a great ski resort one day. And so as soon as Massanutten opened, he was able to get a condo here, and he introduced family and friends through the years to Massanutten.
My name is Ronald Zamorowski. My wife and I have lived here for 41 years here in Massanutten, and it's just been a wonderful place to raise our family. Live on Hopkins Drive. We've lived here for all these years, and I feel connected to it because of all the amenities and things along the line that we've used. We feel like it's our resort as a family homeowner. We've had a lot of opportunities to enjoy the skiing and the golf and all the other amenities that are available to us. So connected to them, I just feel like I'm part of the community itself.
I'm May Ma from, I call it Raleigh, North Carolina, but it's actually right next to it. And my connection to this place goes back into 2004, where I tried out the ski hill because my daughter had potential, and then came with my husband as a timeshare trader in September, and we walked out with a Woodstone unit and came back to ski that next February, and I've been skiing here every season since. Massanutten for me is like having a vacation home and it's better, because I don't have to worry about maintaining the place.
My name's Mike Muller. I live in Kieseltown, and this will be my 31st ski season coming up here at Massanutten Resort. Massanutten means a lot to me. Over 30 years, I've met my wife here. My kids are raised in the area and have actively participated in a lot of activities here at Massanutten, and eventually employed here for a brief time. Some of the most memorable moments at the ski area are quite frankly many, from Tubing Park to just the lifts. We've done many projects as a team together where we worked on lift replacement projects, lift 3, lift 5, tubing hill, expansion, just so many projects. So lots of memories, lots of folks and lots of team members that were involved. And on the vendor side as well, we've had support from many people to accomplish, for the many accomplishments that we've been able to have here.
So I'm Walt Hopkins, nickname is Gator. In the early years of construction, some of the most vivid memories that I can remember are the setting of the ski lift towers was totally intriguing. The technology and the procedures that were used in those days and so many things that were applicable to the construction in those days that was not typical of this area's construction needs. As having been in the crane business for 40 years, the setting of those towers was done with a helicopter from, as best as I can remember, I think Pennsylvania. Here we are 50 years later. Think of that, wow.
These days, Massanutten continues to build upon the foundation of owners, partners, employees, and guests. Now it's time to celebrate 50 years of innovation, history, and what lies ahead with this 50th celebration. And there are big changes afoot.
The old J-bar is gone. The lift will be replaced with a 650-foot Sunkid carpet lift, which will be used for newer skiers and riders for an enhanced beginner experience.
This is our second major evolution, but we've really been laying the groundwork for the past several years.
Well, if you're going to expand the mountain, you've got to have additional water. So year before last, in the summer of 2020, when Painter Pond was drained for the installation of a new pump house and intake structure, we dredged the bottom and took out several feet of silt to allow more additional snowmaking water. And then several years before that, in the 2017, we installed a 12-inch pipeline from just outside the resort up here to Painter Pond, which can provide up to 1,200 gallons per minute of additional snowmaking water.
New this year for our snowmaking plant, we were adding 50 plus new guns, automated, semi-automated guns to increase snowmaking firepower from start to finish, top to bottom.
But the really exciting changes are in full force next year.
Starting next summer, we'll be beginning construction on 2 new trails. One, a Blue Square Intermediate Trail from the top of the Lift 6, Muller's Mile, and a new advanced trail. The slot will be open the following season.
Throughout the planning phase, we kept on asking ourselves, what was going to improve the guest and skier experience? What was going to make the mountain better? The answer was more terrain, more snow, improved amenities at the ski lodge and at the mid-mountain, easier lift access, and of course, lift improvements.
The summer of 23-24 will be the major part of our expansion plans. We'll be replacing Lift 6 with a high-speed detachable lift, be adding an intermediate trail and a new double diamond trail underneath the lift, which is something everybody's been clamoring for years.
So one of the fun things about an expansion project is connecting with our past. All of the trails that we have up here are designed by a guy named Sal Hanna, who's a legend in the ski industry. Fast forward to today, the design group that we have contracted to design our ski trails is a company by the name of the SE Group. That's the same company that Sal Hanna designed in the 50s. That type of symmetry is pretty cool.
Additionally, for the 24-25 season, we'll be adding 2 new blue trails. That will be a Blue Square Trail, intermediate trail from the top of Lift 6 towards the top of Lift 5 to interconnect both peaks.
As the company's chief operating officer, I see our winter sports operation as fun and exciting, but also as a challenging business. While the ski resort began operating 50 years ago, in less than 2 years, our company will have owned the resort for 40 of those years. No other ski resort in the Mid-Atlantic has been under continuous ownership as long as ours. Some have even changed hands several times since we began. And for almost that entire 40 years, our ski area has been led by just 2 executives, first Steve Showalter and now Kenny Hess. Both things say a ton about business stability for any business of any sort. But in an industry as challenging as skiing, especially at our elevation and latitude, those 2 track records are exceptional. We're certainly blessed. Both track records are also a result of our constant focus on our guest experience, adding what they need and want on the slopes and adding things throughout the resort as times evolve. The changes we're bringing now will make the winter experience at Massanutten even better for our skiers and riders, for our timeshare owners, and for area residents and homeowners. In the last 40 years, we've invested in all sorts of new resort activities, but it's been a long time since we've made this sort of exciting expansion in our winter season. There's no better time than now.
There are also improvements you may not notice. More snowmaking system upgrades, including energy and water efficiency improvements, improvements to base facilities, and more.
I started here in 1977, and there was little more than a ski area here at that time. And over those many, many years, a lot of people have come through the area here that really helped make Massanutten what it is today. Kenny Hess was one of my biggest hires. I hired him in 1986 when I became ski area manager. Shortly after that, Mike Mueller, and just so many other people that have come through the resort that make it what it is today. And like I've said before, everything that we decided to do here over the many, many years is do things by committee. So we sat down, talked over the situation. If we couldn't figure it out between ourselves, we called all of our other friends in the industry, and they gave us some heads up, and that's how we made the decisions on how we think Massanutten should have been and how it is today.
The founders at Massanutten Resort had the vision to create a vibrant, welcoming, and constantly improving resort community. Here's to our first 50.
Here's to 50 years and 50 more.
Here's to 50.
Here's to 50 years and 50 more.
Here's to 50 and 50 more.
Here's to 50 and 50 more.